The views expressed on the following broadcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. The dialogue on this show should not be considered as medical, psychiatric, or professional advice and is delivered only as personal opinions from the host, co-host, and guest. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here are your co-hosts, Nathan A. and the Monty Man.
Greetings, family. All those of you in recovery, those of you are advocates of, and perhaps some of you who should be, welcome to another fine episode here at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial, Recovery Talk and Positive Music. And this week, Nathan Adams is, he's not missing in action. He's out there in the wilderness somewhere trying to get himself an elk. And hopefully he'll be joining us next week if he does get his elk. It's good to have you with us. We're going to be talking about a subject this week that we really haven't spent too much time on, but it's important. We're all about recovery from addictions, and particularly, and most of the time, we talk about substance abuse. We talk about alcoholism. We talk about narcotic addiction. We talk about food addiction, sex addiction, that kind of thing. But we have rarely touched on the topic of internet addiction. And we could go into the internet pornography addiction thing, but that's not the direction we're going this week. We're going to be talking about social networking addiction. Is it an addiction? Is it a compulsivity? Is it a hindrance to people? Is it a help? Maybe there's some benefits to it. We're going to be talking about that. And I have two guests in the studio today. Robbie Miles, age 16, getting ready to turn 17, and my son, Colin Meyer, who is also 16. And you'll be turning 17 pretty soon, too, as a matter of fact. And we're going to be talking with both of them. They both attend South Albany High School in Albany, Oregon. And the reason that I wanted them to come on is because I wanted to get a teenager's perspective on this thing. Adults talk about what they think they know about teenagers all the time. And many times we don't let the teenagers talk about it, and so we're going to let them do that. I'm going to, of course, add my 2 cents in there, and I'm going to be reading an article about a gentleman who had a problem with social networking and what he did about it. And this may not be something that is for you. It may be something you may need to consider. So before we talk to Robbie and Colin, let me just read this. This comes from CBS News. How real a risk is social media addiction? Well, a blog post by social media marketer Jason T. Why I just quit Facebook is what it's entitled, is sparking new debate about the risk of social media addiction. Jason's essay went viral soon after he posted it on LinkedIn on Thursday, getting more than 700,000 views per day. Jason wrote that he quit Facebook because, he says, my news feeds were becoming an addiction. They were a constant interruption, pulling me away from the work that I was otherwise enjoying. Just imagine that Facebook is like a digital water cooler. I was drinking a ton of water every hour, he wrote. Although I'm not a neuroscientist, I venture to say that what was happening was related to my dopamine levels. When I was checking status updates on Facebook, my brain was rewarding itself with dopamine. When I wasn't, and dopamine levels dropped as a result, I started jonesing for a fix. So, I quit cold turkey. Jason is certainly not alone in this experience of getting a rush online. Internet addiction was first proposed as a psychiatric disorder in 1996, soon after the internet entered our everyday lives. According to a 2012 study posted in the National Institute of Health website, Internet Addiction Disorder, IAD, ruins lives by causing neurological complications, psychological disturbances, and social problems. It is still not officially listed as a psychiatric disorder in the Bible of Psychiatric Disease, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, though the more narrowly defined Internet gaming addiction was added in May 2013. Other subtypes of Internet addiction, such as social media addiction, have not been studied enough to receive their own clinical definitions or treatment recommendations, but some of the research on Internet addiction in general may shed light on Jason's observations about social media. Psychiatrist and neuroscience research Leon Lau of Columbia University told CBS News Studies that they have shown that 3.7 to 13% of U.S. and 10% of South Korean Internet users express some symptoms of inappropriate Internet use, you think? He estimates that at least 1% of Internet users worldwide need treatment. Symptoms for Internet addiction can be similar to addiction to anything else and fall into two types of behaviors: an ever-increasing need to engage with the object of the addiction and a bad feeling when not getting enough of it. Lau says an Internet user worried that their online use is getting out of control should seek a professional evaluation. It is not so much the particular behaviors that lead to diagnosis of inappropriate Internet use or addiction, he said, but the severity, the functional status of the patient, and whether their behaviors interfere with school, work, or social activities. And I'm going to be asking 4 specific questions about what Internet, particularly social networking, does. I'm going to be asking our guests these 4 questions. Why did Jason find Facebook in particular so addictive? He writes that it's because we are essentially narcissistic and want to be the center of attention. I want them to pay attention to me, to like me. That's why. According to Lau, so far, there are no published studies that demonstrate a correlation between personality disorders, narcissism, and any Internet addiction, but some aspects of social media activity, for example, getting likes, appear to stimulate reward centers in the brain. While Jason's solution, quitting cold turkey, may work for him, Lau says it's not for everyone. And it's worth noting that while Jason quit Facebook, he remains active on LinkedIn, where he published his article. So some interesting stuff there. So we're going to be addressing this, and but before we do, we're going to have a little fun with this thing. So we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to do a little trivia game here. So don't go away. More here at Take12Radio.com, recovery talk, and positive music.
Yeah, my eyes are all red and my fingers are sore, and I just can't explain it, but I want some more. My neck's stiff as hell and my mouth's kind of dry, but I can't get enough of this modern high. Yeah, I'm addicted to my PC. I'm addicted to my PC. I'm addicted to my PC. Is there something wrong?
Hey, September is National Recovery Month, and the Recovery Northwest Project, September 12th through the 14th. Beginning Friday at 9 a.m. with an incredible 2-day conference at the Red Lion, Vancouver, featuring the movers and shakers of the recovery community. Then on Sunday, we'll move on over to beautiful Esther Short Park after the recovery walk and to join the powerful Hands Across the Bridge ceremony. Exhibitors, music, speakers, fun, food, and the power in numbers as hundreds of us gather to celebrate National Recovery Month at the Recovery Northwest Project, Vancouver, Washington. Visit recoverynw.org for details on all the events. Supported in part by the Clark County Department of Community Services Alcohol and Drug Program and the Clark County Substance Abuse Advisory Board. All right. Okay. The most hated game on the internet, Take 12 Trivia, is about to launch, and I just want to mention our sponsor for Take 12 Trivia for this week is Broad Highway Recovery, is a nationwide addiction intervention recovery monitoring and consulting company located in Richmond, Virginia. Their commitment to the family and their loved ones struggling with substance abuse issues. Their mission is to guide families through the entire recovery process. That process involves education, planning, finding the right facility, intervention, transport to treatment, monitoring of the treatment experience, aftercare, and transitional living after treatment, and at least 6 months and up to a year of monitoring to ensure the best possible outcome for you or your loved one. Please visit broadhighwayrecovery.com, sponsoring Take 12 Trivia. So let's do a little intro music here for Take 12 Trivia. Yes.
Could you or one of your friends be addicted to Facebook?
Okay, well, let's find out. There are 5 possible signs of Facebook addiction. So, Robbie and Colin, these are 5 trivia questions, and each of them you get 3 choices. All right. So, sign number 1 that you may be addicted to Facebook. Here are your choices for sign number 1. A, you can't go to bed without checking your Facebook page at least one more time. B, clicking like on every post you read. Or C, constantly changing your Facebook settings. Robbie, what do you think?
I'm thinking B.
Thinking B, clicking like on every post you read?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Colin?
I'm going to go with B too.
The first sign of severe Facebook addiction, over-likeification.
Yes, you are correct. Absolutely. All right. Number 2 sign that you are addicted to Facebook. Here are your choices. Talking too much to your best friend. B, reading posts but not responding to anything. Or C, exposing yourself to strangers that may be a little creepy. Robbie?
I think I'll go with C on that one.
C. What do you think? Or Colin Meyer?
I'll go with C too.
Exposing yourself to strangers that may be a little creepy.
The second sign of addiction, major creeper exposure.
Yeah. What do you guys look at my answers? What's going on here? All right. Sign number 3 that you are addicted to Facebook. A, constantly looking at pics you and others post. B, deleting people you thought were your friends. Or C, friending only members of the same sex.
I'll go with B on that one.
B, deleting people you thought were your friends. Colin?
I'm going to go with A.
Constantly looking at pics you and others post. Well, Colin's correct.
Sign number 3, chronic photo swiping.
All right. You guys were tied. Colin's ahead. Sign number 4 is A, bragging about others' accomplishments. B, bragging about your own contributions to society. Or C, bragging about your parents. We know C's not it. Robbie, what do you think?
I'll go with B.
Bragging about your own contributions. Colin?
I'm going to go with B as well.
Alrighty.
Sign number 4, helping brags.
Yes, indeedy. Okay. Let's see here. This is your bonus question. Ready? Sign number 5 that you may be addicted to Facebook. A, obviously changing your own image. Obsessively changing your own image. B, obsessively changing your profile. Or C, obsessively changing your password. Robbie? Image, profile, or password?
I'll go with image on that.
Colin?
Image.
Image?
Yep.
The final Facebook addiction sign, obsessive image control.
Yes.
So if you or any of your friends exhibit any of these signs of addiction, it's important they confront their problem and seek help.
Yes, indeed. Well, that does it with Take 12 Trivia for this week. Yes, okay. Well, not too bad. Whether that's true or not, maybe some of it is. It was more done in jest than anything else. Okay, so let me ask you guys if you've heard of the following social networking sites. These are eight social networking sites that everybody should be aware of, and not for necessarily good reasons. Okay? Before I share that with you, though, nearly half of all teenagers in the United States check their social media several times per day. Facebook trumps Twitter for teens, with 68% reporting Facebook as their main social networking site, compared to just 6% saying the same of Twitter, and Instagram and Pinterest creeping up. Okay, here are 8 sites, other than Facebook, that should be a concern. Okay, number 1 is Creepy. You guys know about Creepy?
No.
No.
Never heard
Never
about
heard of
Creepy? Okay, well, you have now. Did you know that with just a Twitter or Facebook ID, you can track someone's every move and find their exact current location? Creepy does just that. It allows anyone with access to another person's online photos to pull sensitive location data, allowing them to pinpoint where the photo was taken. Just provide Creepy with the needed username, and it will retrieve all the locations the user has posted photos from. Right? How about Ask.fm?
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Okay, this social networking website allows users to ask other users questions with the option of anonymity. It's this anonymity and monitored Q&A forum that has been criticized by many parents and anti-bullying organizations. As an example, questions like, why are you a loser? Why are you ugly? Etc. are common on this site. Ask.fm is not well known by many adults, but it has been associated with instances of cyberbullying in teens and a series of bullying-related suicides. All right, number 3, Vine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you guys know Vine?
Well, I know it because I have it on my phone, and
I do too.
yeah, and my brothers and sisters, they have it also, and we watch it all the time.
Okay, well, while this mobile app can be used to post short videos, some teens are using the app to videotape others without their knowledge, or using the app to mock or harass other kids. That can be done on a lot of ones, but evidently Vine is number 3 in the top 8. All right, number 4, and I think everybody knows this, Snapchat.
Yep.
Widely known as the sexting app, Snapchat allows users to take photos, record videos, add text and drawings, and send them to a controlled list of followers. The followers can only view the photos for a short period of time, after which Snapchat supposedly destroys them. But however, many users get around this self-destructing feature by taking screenshots of the photos. This app has been associated with numerous sexting cases among teens that led to harassment and jail time. Ouch. So, okay, who wants to tell the listeners, because there's listeners that don't know anything about this stuff, what a screenshot is? We know, but they may not.
I'll tell them.
Okay.
A screenshot is like when you're viewing the app, you have to, when you're in the app and you view a Snapchat, you have to look through your list of Snapchats, and you hold your finger on the screen to open the Snapchat, and it will open for a certain amount of time. The other person sets the amount of time, but
you can keep that on you can actually save that, right? Your
Yeah.
screenshot?
Yeah, you can. When you screenshot something, it saves to your photo library. You can just hold with one hand, you can hold your screen, and with the other hand, you can screenshot it.
Right.
Which you have to push the home button and the lock button at the same time on an iPhone or something like that.
So it doesn't protect the person that's sending it. I mean, they say, well, I'm going to let you look at it for 30 seconds. Well, that's no big deal. Just screenshot it.
Yeah.
Then you have it.
Yeah, it'll tell people like when you screenshot it, but that doesn't really help anything because now they have the picture and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. Here's number 5, Kick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why do you guys know Kick?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because I learned of it from another social networking app called iFunny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's on the list or not, but
Actually, no, it's not on the top 8, but
I heard from it from iFunny, and I didn't really look into it, but I guess it's just a way to talk to. I honestly don't know exactly what it is, but I've heard of it.
well, Kick is number 3 in the most used app for sexting. Number 3, an instant messenger service designed for use on smartphones. This is another app that has been widely associated and is rated number 3 for sexting for whatever reason. It doesn't mean that was the purpose of it. Just that seems to be the third top one used. Feed, Pheed, Feed.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Some have called this the next big social app for teens, with 81% of its users based between 14 and 25 years of age. On the site's more popular features, or one of the site's more popular features, is the ability for teens to live stream what they're doing at any given moment. It's yet another social media platform that allows for the sharing of all sorts of content, including text, photos, videos, and audio. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correct, guys. Quooh.me, Qooh.me. Heard of it?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Never.
This is a social media site that allows teens to ask other users anonymous questions, like one of the other ones. This type of open access site can pose problems for teens and tweens, as users do not have to log in to ask questions. That's the big difference. There is no online monitor to check for the disturbing content, and adult profiles are mixed in with those of teens and children. And number 8 is OVO.
I've never heard of that.
I have.
I have 2.
I've heard of it. I'm not sure what it is exactly.
Well, it's a startup video chat and instant messaging application that is similar to Skype and the Apple's Frame Time. While this site blocks those under 13 from registering, youngsters need only lie about their age, of course, to set up the account, OVO. So those are your top 8, other than Facebook, of Facebook being...
Surprised Omega isn't on there.
Tell us about that.
Basically, you go on... It's a video chat website, and you can go on and click... There's a button that says chat with a stranger, and then a random stranger will just pop up on your screen in video chat.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous, right?
It's yeah, and you can like talk to them and everything, and it's really weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, here are 4 questions I want to ask you guys. First of all, and Robbie, we'll ask you first. This isn't part of the 4 questions, but just for the listeners' sake, what is your association with social media? How were you introduced to it, and how much time would you say you spend on it on a regular basis?
Well, I was introduced to it, like I kind of started on it in like the 6th grade, which was like 2009 or 2008 or something. And it started out with just Facebook. And before that, like Facebook was new because there was MySpace and there was a couple other things. But before, and my older brother, he had a MySpace, but nobody uses MySpace anymore. So,
right.
Yeah, I just started on Facebook, and that's all I really did because I didn't have a smartphone at the time.
Mm-hmm. So you were just doing it on your PC.
Yeah,
yeah,
on the computer, and it's never been a big deal to me. And then now I do a lot more stuff, obviously, but it still isn't a big. It's not a big thing in my life. It's not really a necessity at all.
It's not an obsession for you.
More of a time waster.
Yeah, and
something to fill in the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And not an obsession at all.
Okay. Colin, what about you? How did you get into doing the Facebook thing?
I'm almost the same with Robbie, except I started with MySpace.
Right.
And I really hated MySpace, so I kind of went away from social networking, and I didn't have a smartphone either. And then when people started using Facebook, it made me want to use it because a lot of my friends were on Facebook, so I could talk to them easier than having to just like call them on the phone or go to school and meet with them.
Right.
And it's honestly, I could care less if I had it or not, because I mean, even on my phone, because I can just go on my computer and use it if I wanted to. So it's not that big of a deal to me.
Okay, let me ask the first of the 4 questions. Robbie, to you, how does social networking affect your privacy?
It doesn't affect me a whole lot. Because nobody really talks to me much. like
you're a likable guy, though. I mean, you got friends, right?
Yeah, I have friends, but nobody. I don't know. Nobody like creeps on me. Nobody does really much, and I just like on Facebook. I just scroll through and like posts here and there, and then I do the same on Instagram, and it's not a big deal.
Right.
It doesn't affect me.
So Robbie, what kind of things do you post on Facebook?
What do I post?
Yeah.
I don't know, pictures of like events I may be at, or I post a lot of car stuff, and like I like a lot of stuff in that range. And also on Instagram, I always post like funny pictures and stuff like that, but that's mainly it.
Yeah.
I think Facebook is more of a way to just kind of get people to look at what you think, like what satisfies you, and to kind of connect with people who have the same stuff in common. Mm-hmm. And it all, and the privacy part all depends on what you post and what you're doing on there. So it only affects you if you affect it, I guess.
So only if you let it.
Yeah.
But aren't there ways to open up your world to people to invade your privacy without you actually really realizing it, unless you're real savvy with what you're putting on there? I mean, especially with the thing with the
Creepy.
People, right clicking and saving as people's pictures, and then representing themselves as those people. The cat. There's a show on TV called Catfish, where people do that all the time, which means that there's something going on with that person that was going on way before Facebook came about. I mean, there's issues, right? Yeah. But don't you have to be careful? I mean, let me ask you guys this. Have you ever had problems with anybody hacking your Facebook page?
Yeah, recently I have.
I've been hacked twice.
What's the solution to that? What's the best way to avoid that?
Well,
not having a Facebook.
Yeah. Good answer.
Well, I would agree with that. But if you still want Facebook, you just change your password.
Change your password every 2 weeks or so.
About every 2 weeks.
But people don't do it because
it's a hassle.
They don't want to. I mean, it takes 5 minutes, so I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess you wouldn't do it because you'd have to think of a new password every time.
Mm-hmm.
I personally use it's bad, but I use the same password for most of my stuff. Because if I can't remember a password, I'm like, oh, wait, this is my password. So I just type it in.
Okay, let me ask you, Robbie. Do your parents know your password?
No. Well, I think my mom kind of knows my passwords.
It doesn't matter to you?
No, it doesn't matter to me.
And why is that?
Well, I've got nothing to hide. And
right.
I don't have anything to hide from them.
Do you know friends of yours that would never give their password to their parents?
Yeah. I know a lot, actually, because some of my friends, in quotations, some of them, they really, really surprise me on what they do and kind of what they post and what they like. It's really, I don't understand why they do that kind of stuff.
So, Colin, do you think that since social networking, we are discovering things about our friends we wouldn't have known before, and that can be kind of disturbing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, do your parents know your password?
I think.
Does it matter?
No.
No, it doesn't matter.
Like Robbie, I have nothing to hide.
Right.
I mean, it's no different than you going on Facebook and seeing what I posted.
Yeah, because you don't need a password to see that.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's question number 2, and I'll ask you this one, Colin. How does social networking affect your time?
Actually, personally for me, it makes it more efficient because I'm able to...
Interesting.
Because Facebook, I honestly use Facebook more as a communication device other than anything else. Because if I don't have someone's phone number or something, I could be like, oh, I could probably just get them on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to spend my time trying to find a way to communicate with them. So I just use Facebook.
Right.
And it doesn't really... The only reason why it would affect my time would probably be in a positive way, because if I have nothing to do, I could just waste time on Facebook, scrolling down the posts and just, being on Facebook, and it wastes my time.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something important, obviously it's important enough for me not to be on Facebook, because Facebook isn't more important than really anything else that I do. So it doesn't really...
But boy, that isn't the case with some folks.
No.
Yeah.
Right? Robbie, how does social networking... Question number 3, how does social networking affect your reputation?
It doesn't... I don't know how it affects my reputation, because, I don't know what my reputation is, honestly, because
You mean just in general?
Yeah, I don't know what people think of me, and,
do you care?
Well, to an extent, I do care.
Yeah.
Because,
everybody does, right?
Yeah. Everybody has that extent, but I don't care a whole lot. But I do want friends. But I like having friends, of course. But
okay, what about people that you know? Have you seen their reputation go down the toilet?
Oh, yeah.
Because of abusing Facebook? Colin, you have?
Mm-hmm.
Give us an example without mentioning names.
Well, as a general thing, certain friends will post things in the moment, and Facebook is kind of a thing to just be like, oh, I'm mad about something, and I can put it and make people know about it. And they don't necessarily mean to do that, but if they're really mad and they're in the moment, they'll just use Facebook as this knee-jerk
reaction. Yeah.
That diary.
Yeah, it's basically a social diary. That's what Facebook is.
Which is open to the world.
Yeah. So.
And then we get mad when people react.
Yeah.
To our controversial opinions or our anger. Isn't that weird?
But that's also kind of human nature too, though.
Right.
Like you need. That's why Facebook is good in some parts, because you need human interaction. I mean, it's not physical interaction, but you can agree on things and you can also disagree on things. And people like to be right a lot. And over Facebook, especially on your posts, if people disagree with you, you can just delete their comment.
So you can build your ego up, and even though you may be wrong, you can convince yourself you're right just by blocking somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm right, they're wrong, boom, gone.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty egotistical, don't you think?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay, so. Well, okay. We're after the next break. I want to talk to you about some of the dangers of this thing. Let me ask both of you guys: how does social networking affect your friendships? Give us an example. There's got to be, if you don't know yourself, there's got to be somebody you know that has either gained a friend or lost a friend due to interacting on social networking. Right, Robbie?
Well, I don't know.
Have you made any new friends through Facebook that became friends in person, or maybe even online? As
I've known people like at school, and then realized that they've had a Facebook, and then they friend me, and I'm like, okay, you go to my school, I'll be friends with you on Facebook, and then it starts to grow into a different relationship. You realize that they have certain things in common with you, and then you're like, okay, I like this person, so you befriend them.
Do you know anybody, Robbie, that has got into a conflict with somebody over a Facebook post?
Oh, I've gotten into a lot of conflict.
Have you?
Yeah, because I've gotten into a lot of conflict with people about Facebook and what they post. Like, some of it, most of it now is just immature and ignorant. And I definitely don't want to be friends with people if they're going to be posting stuff like that. So I've never really made friends off of, Facebook.
Yeah.
The other part of losing friends is that if you don't want to see that stuff on Facebook, then why would you want to be friends with that person in real life? Because they're just going to say that stuff in real life.
So maybe Facebook brings out some of the best and the worst of us, and some of the worst and the best of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe it's a good thing. You can kind of find out about somebody before you invest in that friendship. But let me play devil's advocate, you guys. What about the friendships that people gain over the years, and maybe they wouldn't have had if they had known everything about somebody? And maybe it's not always good to know every little thing about someone. Maybe it's better unknown.
Yeah, I think I can agree on that one.
So maybe we miss out on some relationships.
Yeah.
Because of social networking. Mm-hmm. All right. When we come back, let's talk about some of the obvious setbacks that social networking can cause. Some of the dangers that social networking can cause. And I really want to focus in on why putting something down on paper or on screen can be a dangerous thing, because once it's out there, you can't get it back. So don't go away. More with Robbie and Colin when we return.
He's a little crazy, but then again, you already knew that. It's the Bill Post Radio Show. Bill Post Radio Show. Weekdays at noon.
Yes, indeed. And by the way, that the intro music and that little piece there it comes from the group Focus. And those sound bites are from Moving Waves, their CD Moving Waves. Okay, we're talking with Robbie Miles and Colin Meyer, both 16-year-old teenagers who attend South Albany High School, and they're coming up pretty close to being 17-year-olds. And so you guys have been walking this fine planet for almost 17 years. You kind of walked into a world where technology was really exploding like it never has before. I'm 58 and soon to be 59, and I thought I saw a lot of changes. And when the technological boom happened, it changed everybody's world. And one of the things that is happening is it can be dangerous, and that is the social media craze. When you type something, well, let me back up. Years ago, I took a course called Basic Youth Conflicts, and it lasted several days, and we got a binder and a syllabus and yada yada. And one of the things that we learned when dealing with people that you had conflicts with is that you should never write a letter. You write the letter, you're angry, you put a stamp on it, you stick it in the mailbox, and oops, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And you can't get it back. And some of the reasons were, you may write something down that you're going to regret, and you can't get back. The other thing was, when the person reads the letter, they don't hear your tone of voice, they don't see body language. Those are two biggies. And it can be misinterpreted really easily. Well, I would venture to say, and see what you guys think, that that's the same with text. That's the same with posting. Even a simple statement like, what? Can be misinterpreted. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people are so sensitive to things like that they take it very personally, and they freak out. What do you mean, what? When the person could be just going, what? Mm-hmm. Maybe I didn't understand or whatever. So don't you guys think that with things like social networking, we have been given the opportunity to perhaps put down on monitor instead of paper, put down on monitor or screen things that we can't get back that we normally may never have said?
Yeah, I feel like that. Because a lot of people argue all the time, and a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, and they always post about it, and everybody takes it the wrong way, it feels like, or else it doesn't. It seems like a really bad idea to post about things, like post about certain things, like, or opinions, because you should know people are going to take it the wrong way. Right.
Political issues,
yeah,
religious viewpoints.
Things like that. It's really unsafe, because I don't ever. You can't see their body language and how their tone, and you're right about that, and it poses a lot of issue.
Right.
And it's pretty frustrating to see.
It is. And it's like, normally when somebody gets upset about something, one of the things that is a plus is taking a breather, taking a time out, being able to separate yourself from the situation or the other individual or the institution or whatever it happens to be, sleep on it, and you kind of have a different perspective the next day. I mean, right? Mm-hmm. But when you respond, when you have the opportunity to respond immediately, and you know someone's going to read that, it gets away from you. Mm-hmm. And I remember being really upset with friends and wanting to call them on the phone when I was in high school and just chew them out. And my mom would say, you know what? Just ease off the phone. Just take an hour. Take a breather. Don't call them. But today, and she would know if I went into the kitchen, because that was where the phone was in the kitchen. She'd know what I was going to do. But today with social networking, we just have it in our pocket. Nobody knows what we're doing. And boom, we respond, and then it's too late.
Yeah.
And I think this is where a lot of friendships get broken. When I would never have said what I was going to say if I had just calmed down and taken a breather, and the friendship may have been saved because I wasn't responding with what we were talking about a minute ago, calling the knee-jerk reaction. We recently had something happen to us where somebody posted some stuff that was just out of line. And it was everything in my being not to respond, but I didn't respond. That's not so easy all the time, is it, Colin? You want to lash out. You want to say, you know what, you're wrong, you're out of line, and then you have this big conflict. So what are some of the dangers? Colin, let me ask you, what are some of the dangers of social networking?
Well, we kind of already touched on some of them. Like, people are able to find out information that you never thought that could get out there as easily.
Right.
And your privacy is you lose all of your privacy basically. And
pull the mic a little closer to you there, buddy. There you go.
You also you can say things that you don't mean over Facebook, or you could say things that you think will come across a certain way, but because it's over text, like that, and like actual just on the screen, you can't actually get your emotion out. And that's dangerous because people will take things the wrong way, and you can lose friends that way. And it's just, honestly, technology has started to destroy our society in the sense of human communication.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Robbie? You think technology is actually doing us more harm than good?
Yeah, I think it is. Well, another thing that I kind of see is certain situations, like maybe there's a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, and one of them is socializing with other people or commenting on statuses and stuff like that a lot more than the other person, but like that's not the whole idea. But that could send mixed signals. Like people could be wondering, like, weren't them two together? She's kind of doing this and he's kind of doing that, but
right.
Or
spreads rumors and a lot of gossip can start.
Yeah,
a lot
gossip,
of bad rumors can start through social media.
Yeah, and like, or else a boyfriend or girlfriend could get the wrong idea out of that, and it could cause them to ask questions or cause worry or be afraid because you don't know where that other person is going with it.
Yeah.
And there's no way to tell.
Yeah. So, do you guys think that there's more good than bad? Or vice versa?
There are definitely good things that come out of social media, but I think there's more cons than there are pros.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're using the term, I said social networking earlier, but social networking has been going on since the dawn of time. You network socially. So the internet didn't coin the phrase. I mean, we network with people all the time through mail, through phone calls, through going out to coffee, through making friends at church or service organizations or scouting or band or football, whatever. Mm-hmm. We socially network, but social media is really what we're talking about. Okay, so what do you, from a perspective of teenagers, Robbie? Let me ask you: what are some of your ideas, some of your suggestions for people to do to enjoy the internet, enjoy social media, and not get themselves into trouble? What would be some, if you were here at 16 years of age, if you were asked, because there are people having babies having babies, right, who are parents right now that are your age. Throw yourself into that situation. What would you be telling your kid right now as a 16-year-old dad? Because there are 16-year-old dads. Their kids are probably not old enough to understand. But if you were setting up a guideline for your child as it relates to social media, what are some of the things that you would recommend to them?
Well, I would definitely not get them a phone very early.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, I'd start out with that. I would just kind of step them in so they wouldn't get addicted to it, or they wouldn't get too far into it and then get themselves into trouble. I don't, like, when I have kids, like, they're not going to be raised on technology. They're going to be raised on a family basis, which a lot of kids don't get that often. So they just go to technology and their friends, and that's not how I'm going to be with my kids.
So technology has become the new boob tube, the new babysitter.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that kids do now. They don't.
So I'm going to pick on Colin for a second. It's something that I noticed. I'm going to throw you under the bus here, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
When Colin first got his driver's license, he had a difficult time knowing how to get to certain places in town. And I made the observation that one of the reasons, and I don't think it's just Colin, I think it's a lot of people, adults included, a lot of the reasons that when you're a passenger in a vehicle and you don't have that screen in front of you, what are you doing? You're looking around, you're noticing where you're going, you're very observant about what's going on around you, but when your face is in that screen and you're driving in a car and that's where it is the whole time, all of a sudden you're producing a driver's license in your wallet now, you don't know how to get around.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say that was probably one reason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you always got mad at me because you're like, come on, you live in Albany, you don't know how to get to this place?
Well, I mean, it's only 35,000 people. I mean,
50,000. And
okay.
my excuse was always that, well, I don't really care. I didn't really care about how to get there. All I cared about where we were going. And I didn't really pay attention because I wasn't driving, so I didn't need to pay attention.
But before we had these things in the palm of our hands, we kind of we were observers just automatically. We just kind of, our brains soaked it up. You know, well, there's the library, there's the pool, there's the school, and so when we got on our bikes or we got our driver's license, we knew how to get there. We just did. Mm-hmm. What about in social circles? I mean, haven't you noticed? I've even noticed it in church. And I'm not talking about looking on the Bible app to follow along with the pastor's message. I'm talking about people are in the middle of service. They're texting their friends, and I've been to meetings of professionals where you're having a meeting and you're supposed to be talking about whatever the topic is, and people are sitting there. You know, isn't that rude, you guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
But have we not all been guilty of it? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. The rest of the show is sponsored by Therapia Addiction Healing Center in Utah. The founders of Therapia possess well over 100 years of combined personal and professional experience in the addiction healing process. They have committed themselves to providing the very best program, facility, personnel, and environment for the recovery and healing of the soul. Their program is designed to cultivate mental strength, physical health, and spiritual balance. They have developed gender-specific programs for men and women based in the 12 steps that will help their clients and their families get their core issues so that the healing process can begin. Please visit therapia.net. That's THERAPIA.net. Okay, so, all right, so let me ask you, Collins, I didn't ask you this, I asked Robbie this, but if you were to break it down, how much time in a day do you spend on social networking or social media?
Well, I usually check my phone a lot just because I'm interested to see in how people interact with my posts and stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, I just do that frequently throughout the day, just to get updates on stuff.
When you hear that familiar tone, whatever it is you have your phone set at that says that there has been a post, are you compelled to check it?
Yes. I mean,
is it difficult not to?
Well, I wouldn't say it's difficult not to, because if you're doing something and I get a notification on my phone, and if I'm doing something, I'll say, oh, I can check that in a second once I'm done with this. But if I'm not doing anything, what's the point of not checking it? Because maybe someone's maybe you're in a conversation with somebody, and the other person's like, well, how come he isn't responding? And if you're not doing anything at the time, then why not check it?
Robbie, when you are posting a response to somebody and they don't get back to you right away, do you think, what's the deal? Or do you just assume that they're probably multitasking, doing something else too?
Well, if I'm texting, I'll expect a response kind of quick, but if it's over Facebook, I don't care at all.
Well, it kind of depends on the conversation, because you could be in a conversation and talking to somebody, and frequently you're just back and forth talking,
right.
If you're in a conversation and you know that the person's responding, and then all of a sudden they don't respond, then you can kind of feel like, oh, what are they doing? You don't get mad or anything, because that'd be ridiculous.
People do though.
Yeah, people do, and that's part of the addiction part of social media,
right?
Because people are like, well, they should be on Facebook talking to me.
Tap your mic for a minute. I'm getting a buzz. So that's part of the addiction. That's part of the compulsivity of the whole thing.
Because people are narcissistic and they want to involve themselves in every little thing and have people be talking to them constantly. And that's why people are on Facebook all the time.
Right.
Because it's just a way to connect with millions of people at one time.
Right. Oh my gosh. Because I have to tell you, I'm going to tell myself here, if I enjoy watching a good movie. I enjoy watching a good television show. But I will tell you that if my phone's sitting right next to me and it goes beep, I do have a difficult time not reaching over and looking at it. I allow it to interrupt something else I'm enjoying. And that comes from a 58-year-old. It's gotten me. It's bitten me. The bug has bitten me. And so I'm like, I can't put it. So the best thing for me to do, what I found myself doing lately, is if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch a program, I just need to turn the thing off. Well, guys, thanks for taking the time to do this. This has been fun. And if you're going to give the listeners any closing thoughts, Robbie, I'll ask you first. What would you suggest people do that have found themselves spending way too much time on Facebook?
Well, I would say get on it less and become less dependent on what everybody else is doing. Focus on you and what you're doing. Don't worry about what they're doing. It's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know why people treat it like that. They just... It's just not a big deal.
Yeah. Good advice. Colin?
Get more involved physically with people and try to form relationships with... honestly, the best thing to probably do is to be friends with people that don't have social media, because then the only way that you can interact with them is physically.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helps in not being so connected with Facebook. And if you have to befriend or defriend people that are always on social media, then that's probably what you have to do. It's the same thing with smoking cigarettes. If you're in a group of people that are smoking cigarettes and you're friends with them, you're more likely to smoke cigarettes.
Sure.
But if you're in a group of people that don't do that and just go camping or something, then you're more likely to not smoke and just enjoy the time.
Yeah.
And I pose a question, which is funny because I saw this on Facebook, ironically. If Facebook charged people to be on it, which I have a feeling they're going to start doing it, would you still use it?
How many people that said no actually will, though?
A lot, because they don't realize that it would actually happen.
Right.
It's the same thing with TV. People are addicted to TV, so they subscribe to Dish or something so they can watch it. It's the same principle with Facebook.
People have said, I said, if gas ever gets above 50 cents a gallon, I am not buying gas anymore.
But you need gas. You rely on it.
Right.
And people rely on Facebook to interact with people.
And they believe they need it.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much as people may actually need air in many cases. So that is really good. If Facebook started charging, would you pay for it? I said no, but I really wonder. I really, really wonder. All right. Well, folks, thanks everybody for joining us today. Our email address is take12radio@comcast.net. You can reach us here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And go to our contact links on our webpage. If you're listening on the Bill Post Radio Network or any other network, there's a show coming up next. Guys, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that was fun.
All right, you guys. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man, along with my guests, Robbie Miles and Colin Meyer. We're wishing God's perfect serenity for
When
you.
it all came crashing down, there was only darkness all around. But in the distance I could see a flame. There's so much more to living in your world. Savior, what you did for me. You gave me something I want everyone, I mean everyone to see. When we stumble and it all goes wrong, only you can make it right. So I say, I'm learning to be the light. I'm learning to be the light. I'm learning to be the light. I'm learning to be the light.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Be the light.
Kitty, 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 kitty.